Well, hey folks, welcome back. And yeah, we're pretty close to where we were last weekend. If you can remember, last weekend I pointed across the way to that other big waste rock pile on the other side of the valley. And yeah, I did head over there, and there's something really interesting I want to show you. But for now, I want to get things kicked off with this let's just call it the complex of cabins here. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and at one time they ran power out here. We got power lines, so let's see what this thing is all about. Here's an old really old makeshift grizzly. They had a conveyor system hooked up to it. And let's see if I can get a better angle for you folks here. Here we go. Yeah, so they would dump the ore into a hopper feeder. It would come up here, spill into the ore bin, rake off the large rocks. The smaller material would go down. And I'm guessing from this point, somewhere down here, a truck would back up, and that's where they'd load up the material. Kind of interesting. Pretty makeshift. They used a little bit of everything. We've got fencing, steel post, pretty much whatever the miners could scavenge and weld into place. All right. Well, next, let's head over to this building. I'll meet you over there. All right, folks, let's see what this is all about. You're probably wondering why they've got orange cones right here. Well, it's because up on the other side of this hill, there's somebody's big open pit operation, and they're doing blasting, and this is what's required by the DEQ BLM plan of operations. You got to have if you're doing any blasting, you got to have some sort of a perimeter. However, they really should have some kind of a sign right here. Maybe it's further on up the way. But anyways, let's see what this old building's about. This is neat. Oh, I was thinking this was an entrance, but looks like a power shack. Yeah, you'd have all your fuses and hookups right in here. That's what that was. Okay. Well then, let's head over this way. Oh, I just noticed something. So this is the top of a toilet bowl where you have the water behind the toilet. And stamped on the back of it is June 9th. Let me see if I can get a good look at it here. 1966. Okay. Well, back in the day, there was a lot of mines in this location. I wonder what this building was for. Well, everybody came in here and chalked it up. I got an old couch right there. All right. Here's an old newspaper with a date of February 7th, 1980. Yeah, this was probably some sort of maybe a bedroom. Huh. What's in here? All kinds of newspapers on the floor. Let's see if I can find another date for you folks. November 16th, 1979. Well, that's kind of interesting. Look at this little cubby thing right there. Okay. And somebody brought in a whole bunch of ore and just threw it on the floor. Okay, what's in here? Well, I can't quite get the door open, but that's all. Just maybe like a small bedroom. And another room. Yeah, I'm gonna have to blur out that room, folks. There's images on the wall that aren't family friendly. Let's take a look in here. Yeah, sorry about the blur, folks, but we got to keep it family friendly. I'm looking at these newspapers here, seeing if I can find another date. Nothing jumping out at me. I don't want to fluff it up for fear of fluffing hantavirus up in the air. There's a date I can see without having to. Again, 1980. Okay. And that is it for this building. Okay, let's go do that one next. I'll meet you over there. Okay, let's see what this one's all about. Got a little door here. Nope, that don't open no more. The wood is all swollen. That's okay, we get in through this direction. That's an old recliner. 60s or 70s recliner right there. What do we have hiding in here? Looks to me it was a tool shack at one time. Anything interesting hiding in there? Not really. Okay. Well, we got two more. I'll meet you folks up there. We'll take a look at the last two. See you over there. Okay, let's see what this is all about. Again, probably another tool shack. Some kind of a bird was living up there in the rafters. Made a heck of a mess down here on the floor. Okay. Now we've got something out back. know. Little, could this be a Dynamite magazine, an old one? Well, we're not going to get through that door. Take a closer look at it, maybe up here. Yeah, that's really all it is, folks. At one time, it could have been explosive storage. Not much left of it. Or a pantry. You know, it's real important to keep your foodstuffs cool out here in the desert. Now, what do we have over here? Well, we have a feeder. This is a conveyor feeder right here, or what's left of it. Goodness, boy, that's old. That's 60s or 70s. Yeah, that thing is scrap metal now. I'm looking at, there's a, well, I'll be darned, no, it's 86. Well, it's 86 on that motor right there. Okay. Yeah, there's the sign. There's the sign I was telling you about earlier. They have it in over there, stuck in a 5-gallon bucket full of dirt. That's more than likely the one that reads danger blasting. Keep out. All right, let's see what this building's all about. Well, this used to be a comfy cabin. You had your wood burning stove right there. Huh. But that is all that's left of it. All right. Well, I'm going to work my way back over to Old Bob, and then I'll take you folks over to that that other location and show you what that's all about. So I'll meet you over there. All right, folks. So a moment ago, we were back there by those buildings, and this is what I wanted to show you. So we've got two addits. We got one here. The waste rock pile behind me isn't very substantial, but you just never know what you're going to find in these things, even the little ones. And then if you look off there, off to the left, there's an ore bin out there. So we're going to go explore that next. Let's kick things off with this and see what it's all about. Well, that's where they had their winch mounted, was on this. Let's take a look at these washers, see if they have another date on it like we found that other day. Yeah, patented May 10th, 1904. Cool. Okay, let's go see what this addit's all about. Well, actually, yeah, I can tell right now that that's something that we can, I think we can, well, maybe, okay. All right, let's see here. Might turn out just to be a shaft. Yeah, darn it. That's exactly what it is. With a little addit thing. Yep. We've got ourselves a straight vertical shaft. There may be a drift level down in there somewhere. And then an addit right here, but this addit only goes, Well, let's look at it from this direction. It only goes up in there maybe 20-30 feet, and that's it. You probably can't see it on the camera. Yeah, 20-30 feet and stops. It was just an exploratory. Okay, we're gonna hop back into Old Bob and let's head on over to that ore bin. I'll meet you over there. All right, folks, this is what I really wanted to show you. I saw this up on the side of the hill when we were headed over there to the buildings we just finished looking at, and I really wanted to take a look at this ore bin because it's out here in the middle of nowhere, up on the side of this hill. Let's see what's going on with this. Well, there's where they would back your truck up to and haul the material off to the mill. Now we got something over here. What could this be? That's interesting. Not quite sure what that is. Got a barrel over here. Oh, we have some writing on it too. Arrow brand cyanide out of Niagara Falls, Canada. So back in the day, if you needed cyanide for cyanide leaching, that's the barrels that it came in. Okay, let's go up here and see if this is a shaft or an addit. What do we have? Is this an incline shaft? Well, let's cross the velvet rope here. Oh, indeed it is. A very steep incline shaft. That ain't on no 45-degree angle, folks. Oh, that's pretty darn ugly. You could easily do it. We had a rope. Get down in there. Yeah, that's not looking like something I want to try to crawl down into, folks. Let's choose our battles. We've got another let's over here on the other side of the hill. There's the map showing that there's more addits. Maybe we can find something a little more accessible. Okay. Yeah. Oh, look at here. They used those cyanide barrels as siding for their cabin. I see that writing all over the place. So once they were finished with the barrel, they snipped it up and used it for siding. Okay, it's back into Old Bob. Let's head over to that next site, see if we can find something a little bit nicer. Okay, I'll meet you over there. Okay, back again, folks. I had to stop and take a look at this because it's right along the way. So a moment ago we were up there to the right. That's where that ore bin was. And as I was scooting on down the road here, I looked off to the right and there's this thing buried in the ground. Let's see what this is all about. Well, more of the Arrow brand cyanide. Tonopah Mining Company, Nevada Millers, Nevada. Something San Francisco, California. What is in here? Well, before we peek in there, let's get that out of my way. This is neat. This had to be, yeah, see the shelf on the left-hand side there? I mean, yeah, it's all filled with pack rat. This is a pack rat condominium now, but there's a shelf on the left. There's another shelf on the right. This is dynamite storage. Of course, at one time it wasn't all filled in with dirt. You could walk in and out of it nice and easy, but that's all that's left of it. So Dynamite magazine. Okay, continuing on. Let's get up and over that saddle and see what that other site's all about. I'll meet you over there. All right, folks, back again. Well, that was a fun road getting into this location. Goodness sakes. Talk about bouncing your kidneys out. But we made it here. Let's see what this is all about. This is what I saw on Google Earth and those buildings we started off this episode with, but this is what I really wanted to see. I couldn't tell if it was an addit in the area or if it was an incline shaft. Well, let's see here. Let me get over the velvet rope. And so here we have a vertical shaft. Let's see how deep that might be. Well, it hit after about 2 seconds, and then it kept on rolling down, 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 down. So it goes vertical, and then it heads off on an incline is what it does. But unfortunately, again, another situation for rope work. Let's look over here. We have something else. It is hot out here, guys. Yeah, you can hear it probably in my voice from the start. When it gets up past 95 up to 100 degrees, it just kind of zaps you. All right, let's see what this is all about. So it turned out it was an incline shaft. Okay. And a bird just flew out of there. That's why I really don't like to throw stones. You just never know if you're going to hit a nest. So look at this thing. So we have an incline. Ladder's going up. Why don't we, let's head up on top. Let's see what that's all about up there. I'll meet you up there. Okay, I worked further on up the hill. I like this angle here. It kind of gives you an idea of how steep it is going down into that hole. So let's continue on. See all this limonite that they were pulling out of the mine? That's what they're going after. Okay, let's get up here. Big pile of limonite. Okay, now we can kind of head off this direction, show you what's left of it. Just a bunch of scrap wood now. Let's go this direction. Well, we've got something here with rail. Well, that's interesting. And push the cart out here and dump it off. So if we've got rail, where's this rail coming from? Back here maybe? Let's see if we have an addit. Bunch of vent pipe. Come on, let's have an addit. What the heck was this here? Well, I gotta get through all the brush. Oh, this is where probably where the hoist motor was, right here. And on that concrete pylon right there. So looking out that direction, at one time you had some sort of head frame. Your cables went out and then down that incline shaft. Let's look around here. Maybe we can find a artifact with a date on it. Not really seeing anything. Nope. Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep looking around here for a little bit. If I find something, you know what I'll do. I'll hit record. Okay, I'll be back. Well, I found the outhouse, what's left of it, and it is, let me look here, it is a 2-seater. Yep. So you can bring a friend in with you. And up here, what do we have? Look at this windlass. It's all collapsed in now, but at one time, between that notch there, that's where they would have they'd put a windlass down in there, and you crank it up by hand, bucket after bucket. And that's a good workout for your biceps. Okay, all right, I'm gonna keep looking around. I'll be back. All right, back folks. And looks like we came across someone's mining claim here. Yeah, we've got a track hoe and looks like some sort of a cement mixer over there. Maybe they were using that for gravity separation, I don't know. But I'm not going to walk in any further. This is none of my business. We're on somebody's claim. Like I always say, you have to respect that. I'm interested as to what they're digging over here. Let's take a look and see where they're digging, and we'll just take a look at the geology. Okay, I'll meet you higher up on the hill. See you up there. Okay, well, let's see what they were digging. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Well, we're in another, I can't quite figure out what's going on here. It's definitely hydrothermal, but there's almost like a shale or something running in here. There is a little pocket right there. It makes me wonder if that was part of some old workings down in there. But this is what they cleaned out. Okay. makes you wonder if it is pretty dense. It has some heft. That rock has heft to it. Wonder if they're going after the silver here. Okay, well, yeah, and right over here, that's looking down on the equipment there. Okay, well, I'm going to keep scratching around here. Again, if I find something interesting, I'll hit record. Be back in a bit. All right, back again. Went further up the hill past that piece of equipment, and there's supposed to be an addit up here. Oh, phew. I'm getting tired, folks. Yeah. Okay, what do we have? Not a very big waste rock pile. An old shack. What's left of it? Well, okay, let's see what it's all about. Oh boy, there ain't much left of that. That's going to be a bit tough to skinny down into, folks. Not to say that it couldn't be done. But it's so flaky and crumbly. Yeah. We're going to have to keep looking around. I know I'd like to go into it too, but it's just too unstable here at the portal. Okay. Let's keep looking around. Maybe we'll find something. I'll be back. Okay, folks, I worked my way down the road another maybe half, 3/4 of a mile. And there's supposed to be something right in here. Well, that's interesting. Look at that. You know what that is, don't you? That is that's the flywheel on a steam engine, and what's left of it. Look at how they put that together. Very cool. Yeah, okay. We're supposed to have an addit right over here. We got to find an addit today. Goodness, it's just been strikeout after strikeout. And indeed we have one. And that's happily accessible. Okay, I'll be right back, folks. Okay, folks, let's explore this old mine. Now look at all the exterior gobbing right above the portal here. Let's hope that none of that lets loose while we're down in here, huh? Goodness, that wouldn't be good at all. Okay. I'm gonna have to very carefully. Oh, jeez. There we go. All right. What do we have in here? Oh, this is going to be one of those side access addits where it's yeah, see, looking up, we've got this would have been the shaft, and they put in a side access addit, and notice here they're working the vein. See the fault? They cleaned it all off there down that wall, and that is as close as I can get to the edge, folks. I am curious as to how deep that thing is. All right, let me throw a rock in there. Not very. And at one time, looking across the way, we have something going off that direction, but no way to get to it because we've got this gigantic chasm here in front of us. Maybe if I run real fast. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Oh, I just saw something here. Look at the rock. Isn't that cool? It's like a sandstone. All right, folks, I'll meet you back outside. I'll see you out there. All right, folks, back outside, safe and sound. Shoot, not the greatest day of mine exploring. I got to tell you, if we were playing baseball, I think I would just throw in the towel and head home. And that's what I'm about ready to do with this day. Everywhere we've been, it's been, incline shafts that you can't access, straight vertical shafts you can't get down into. But, that's the way it is with this hobby. You find all these locations on Google Earth, but you just never know what they're going to be until you get there. Okay, there's one more thing I want to show you before we end this episode. I think it's pretty darn cool. I'm going to show it to you. So we're going to head over there, and I'll be back in a bit. All right, folks, back again. Yeah, I just could not leave this location without showing this to you guys. So at one time, they had a big open pit operation here. And I got to thinking about that mine with the track hoe piece of equipment that we were just at. It's quite possible that they're not mining gold and silver over there. That could be turquoise or opal that they're going after. This is definitely gold and silver. What we have here is a classic epithermal. You can even see all the twisting and bending. Remember at the tail end of that, I forget which episode it was. I kind of ended that episode too with another open pit mine. And you saw how all those hydrothermal rock layers were all twisting and turning and folding back in on themselves. Well, look, you have it right here. And then down in those cracks and crevices is more of that limonite. But I'm real curious to see what's down in the bottom of this thing. So I'll meet you folks further on in. We'll see if we can go take it all the way to the bottom. I'll meet you down there. All right, we're a little further in. You see all these rocks and big boulders that have come down and fallen in. So if you ever decide to explore one of these open pits, stay away from the walls. Because the sides are very, very unstable. There's hanging rock everywhere. I mean, look at these giant boulders that have come down over the years. You wouldn't want to be standing here when one of them gives way. Okay, we'll keep working down in further and further. Meet you down there. Okay, getting closer to the bottom. Look at all the silver sulfide running through that. Just loads of it. But they didn't take it out of here because the value per ton is not what they are going after. It's got either that or it's the price of silver, price of gold. That justifies all of these mines. Wow, this is really cool. They really got down in here deep. So if it wasn't for the invention of modern day excavation equipment, we wouldn't have open pit mines like this. Because back in the early 1900s, they didn't have that kind of technology and that kind of equipment. So the only thing that they could really do is sink in shafts, for example. Take a look at this right here. See that big vein where you had all those hydrothermal fluids working their way up, disseminating and depositing all throughout that structure there? Okay, well, in the old days, the only way to access that or get down to the bottom of it, like I've always said, they're trying to get underneath the ore body, because typically that's where the best ore is. But back in the day, they would have to sink a shaft all the way down to get to this level. But here, modern day, you can do an open pit mine. Look at this big washout here. Should we go all the way to the bottom? Why not? Hey, we're here already. Let's do it. Meet you down there. All right, so here we are at the base of that big hydrothermal structure. If I was a gold miner again, I'd chip into this and I would pan this out to see how many little flecks per pan I could find. We've got to be, I'm going to say, looking up, that's probably, oh boy, 600. I'm going to say 600 feet to the top. Okay. Oh, another thing I want to point out to you guys. So when you ever get to these old open pits, like what we're exploring right now, there's always going to be a fence around them. And the reason for that is that people think that that's to keep the public out. Well, technically, yes, and there's another reason too. They put a fence around these old open pits because oftentimes in the bottom, you end up with a pond of some water down in here. And the natural runoff and rain that collects into the bottom of these is running off the sides of the open pit, and you're getting a lot of sulfides are leaching off and leaching down and getting into that water, making it really, really acidic. And so they put a fence around these to keep the animals like wild burros and things like that out so that they don't drink the water, because oftentimes it's not good for the animals. It has a real high acid content. Let's see if I can get over here through this thick brush. Talk about going all the way to the bottom. Okay, there we go. We did it. All right, let me give you folks a cool 360. Pretty neat. And over here, you can see how deep the water gets in the bottom of this. Because if you look right there, that line, that's the water line. So it gets to be about 5 feet deep in here. Yeah, you don't want to drink this water. No way. All right, folks. Well, that is going to be it for this episode. I really wish it could have been a whole lot more. I had high hopes for those locations, but they didn't pan out. But nevertheless, we got to see some interesting things along the way, and I guess that's a plus. So I'm going to get on out of here. Oh, and once again, as always, I like to thank all my new subscribers for coming on board. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and I'm glad that you're into this sort of thing. And if you know anybody else that likes to do this kind of stuff, by all means, share the links to my channel and get it on out there and tell people about it. I'm trying real hard to get up to 1,000 subscribers before Christmas. That would be awesome. So, all right, folks. Yeah, I'm going to get on out of here. Again, thank you so much for coming along with me, and I'll see you again next weekend. Okay, take care. Bye-bye now.